In this one I introduce inheritance, and object inheritance is a vital concept in object-oriented programming. It's where one class is derived from another, just as humans inherit qualities or characteristics from their parents. Objects are also able to inherit qualities and characteristics from parent objects, but those qualities and characteristics in object-oriented programming, we already know them, are properties and methods. One of the ways in which objects make programming more efficient is the ability to use one class definition as the basis for another. That's what we're going to do with this account class. So this will act as our basis, and this represents a bank account class. And so if you think about bank accounts, you can have different types. You can have savings accounts and checking accounts. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this basis and we'll create a different kind of account, one which inherits from this. So it'll inherit all the properties, account number, balance, and also inherit all the functionality. And as well as inheriting those things, it will also be able to declare its own properties and methods which are unique to itself. So carrying on as we did in the constructors recording, each class will have its own file. So I'm in the chapter 2 folder and I've created a PHP file called account.php. I then create my opening PHP tags. I'm just going to create an account class. So class account, and if you remember the properties from the diagram, we had an account number and we also had a balance. And then there were three methods. So public function, and those methods were deposit, withdraw, and get balance. I'm not actually going to put logic in here for making deposits or withdrawals. I'm just going to echo out depositing X amount of money, because this is more to demonstrate the concept than to actually perform that functionality. So I'll do the same with the withdraw method. So public function withdraw, and again I'm just going to echo out withdrawing some money. My final method will be get balance. So public function get balance, and all this will do is return the balance property. Fairly straightforward so far. Then what I want to do with this account is use it to create a child account. So that child account is going to be a checking account, and it'll inherit all the properties and all the methods of the base account class, but it'll also be able to declare its own, such as transfer, which is something that you might be able to do with a checking account, but perhaps not with other types of accounts such as a savings account. And so that makes it unique, and it's these little pieces of unique functionality that make it a good use case for inheritance. So we're saying we want it to be able to do all the same things as a base account, but we also want it to have its own little personality. But inheritance doesn't just stop at one level. We could now take our checking account and create child classes which inherit from that. If we look at Investopedia here, there are different types of checking account. For example, we have regular checking accounts, premium accounts, interest-bearing checking accounts, free checking accounts, etc., etc. And there's no limit to the amount of inheritance that can take place. And so here's that represented. We have our base account, checking account, and then you have premium and regular checking accounts, because more than one kind of account can inherit from the checking account. So what I'll do now is create that checking account and show you how we inherit using PHP code. So I've created a new file, checkingaccount.php, opening PHP tags. Then we need to require the account PHP file, because that has the account class, and we're going to be referencing that. So require account PHP, and then what we do is we say class checking account, and we use the extends keyword. and we just extend account. And by doing that, our checking account now will have all the properties and all the methods from the account class without us having to write any code whatsoever. So let me demonstrate that now. In my chapter 2 folder I have a PHP file called inheritance PHP, and I've just marked out some HTML, so all you need is opening and closing HTML tags and body tags, and inside that just add your PHP tags. And then I'm going to say checking account equals new checking account. And if you recall from the constructors recording, I said that the opening and closing parentheses weren't necessary if you weren't passing anything into the constructor. So I'll demonstrate that here. I'll leave those off. Usually you'll see that people leave them on anyway, and I do it as well, even if there's nothing being passed in. But just to show you that you can do it this way as well. So we need to require the checking account PHP. And so what I've decided I'm going to do is actually pass in amount arguments to my deposit and withdraw methods on my account class, so that I can make a distinction between different objects by passing in different amounts rather than all just echoing out the same thing. So I add that as an argument, and then I just append it to the amount that's been either deposited or withdrawn, which will be echoed out in the browser. Same thing with withdrawing dot amount. And what I'll also do on these, because it's been echoed out in the browser, is I'll just put some little break tags on the end. I won't normally put HTML in my PHP methods. I think it's bad practice, but just for demonstration purposes and to make it more legible, I've decided to do that here. Okay, so now we're going to call those methods. So checking account, deposit, I'll just pass in an arbitrary amount. 20 sounds good to me. I'll also make a withdrawal. So checking account, withdraw, I'll call it 10. Okay, now I need to start up the server. So if you're doing the same as me and you're using PHP's built-in server, make sure you're in the chapter 2 folder. I did that by checking using pwd, present working directory, and then you use this command here, php -S and then localhost followed by a port number. That's my server up and running, and I just need to use this address in the browser in order to check it out. So localhost :8000/inheritance.php, and there we go. I'll bump it up so you can see depositing 20, withdrawing 10. Just what we expected, and now it's up to you to have a go. So we said a checking account could have a transfer method to make it unique. Here's what you need to do. Create a public transfer method. It should take an amount as an argument and then echo out transferring that amount to another account. And once you've done that, just add a line to inheritance PHP, which calls the transfer method. Give it a go. Here's my solution. So I add the method public function transfer, takes an amount argument. Let's grab my comments. And then all I need to do is echo out transferring the amount to another account. And what I'm going to do is I'll also put the BR tag on the end of this. Again, not great practice to mix HTML in your PHP files, especially your classes. Basically don't do it, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So with that done, we now need to zap over to the inheritance PHP file. And so underneath the stuff I've already done, I'll just add a line here, checking account, right arrow, transfer, and again I'll make up an arbitrary amount. 100 sounds good. Now all I need to do is go over, give the browser a refresh, and there you go, transferring 100 to another account. So now let's have a look at that extra level of inheritance that we discussed. And you're probably thinking, when should I use inheritance? What are my indicators? And it's usually when things have their own little characteristics which make them different than the parent and from other siblings. One thing which distinguishes premium checking accounts is that there is a minimum balance requirement, which is something that other kinds of accounts don't have. So we'll jump all over that, and what we'll do is go back into the code and we'll create a premium checking account. So in the same folder, chapter 2, premium checking account.php, we need our opening PHP tags, and because we're extending the checking account, we need to require the checking account.php file. And I'm going to let you have a go at this to start off with. So here's what you need to do. Create premium checking account class as a child of checking account class. Add a minimum balance public property. In inheritance PHP, create a premium checking account object. Call transfer method on that object and then echo the minimum balance property. So here's my solution. As ever, I'd encourage you to have a go at it yourself because that's the best way to learn. So the first thing we need to do is create our premium checking account class. So class keyword, premium checking account extends keyword, checking account. And so automatically that now inherits all the methods and properties of the checking account and the checking account's parent, which we just called account. So the first thing we need to do is add our minimum balance public property, and I've also specified that we give it a default value. So we'll set this to 5,000. And that's all we need to do in this file. Over to inheritance.php. So I'm also going to need to require premium checking account now because we're going to be referencing that class. And so first off, we just create a premium checking account object. So premium checking account equals new premium checking account. Again, we don't need the parentheses because we're not passing anything into the constructor, so I'll just remove them to illustrate that point. We didn't add any methods to the class, but I'm able to call the transfer method because it's extending the checking account class. So we'll say transfer 200. What that will do is echo out that we're transferring 200. And then I've just said echo the minimum balance property. Premium checking account, right arrow, minimum balance. Should do the job. In fact, I'll add a little line break on the end as well. Over to the browser, give it a refresh, and we have a fatal error. Cannot declare class checking account because the name is already in use. So this is something that you'll come across when you're including classes in others. I recommend that you use require once rather than require. The reason I made this mistake is because I'm so used to using auto loading that it's quite a while since I've used require once, etc. Auto loading is something which I'm going to cover in future tutorials on this course, so look out for that stuff. In the meantime, let's go back to the browser and check that that fix has worked, and it has, transferring 200 to another account, and we've printed out the minimum balance of 5,000. Now I'm going to go over to the checking account, make sure that we can't make that same mistake here. So I'm going to require once account PHP, and I'm just going to clean up my premium checking account class. So we said class premium checking account extends checking account, and we gave it a minimum balance which is unique to the premium checking account. And just to prove that it's unique to the premium checking account, I'm going to try and call, or should I say, I'm going to try and access the minimum balance property on the checking account object, and let's see what happens. So I'll put that in, I'll put a line break in, and we'll go back to the browser, give it a refresh. Notice undefined property, checking account minimum balance. So it's saying that the minimum balance property is not defined on the checking account class, which is exactly what we wanted, so that's spot on. The premium checking account has all the attributes and all the functionality of a checking account with some little extras of its own, making it a good candidate for inheritance. I'll finish off with a little exercise which looks at candidates for inheritance from around the web. So here I am on Amazon, and we have a book which has a Kindle edition, an audiobook edition, and a hardcover edition. So obviously the hardcover edition, there's going to be a shipping cost because it's a physical object. Also there will be physical stock, and dispatching a physical object is a lot different than, say, a Kindle edition or audiobook that you just download. So that's a candidate for inheritance. Here's another example. This time I'm using Airbnb, where you can become a host. So you can create a host account, which I imagine to extend a standard kind of account, so you'd have all the same functionality. You'd be able to make bookings and log in, etc. But also you can list a property, and also you would have an account balance from the money that Airbnb gives you for renting out your own property. And I'll take my final example from the British Airways website, where you can create a booking. Not only can you create a booking, you can do it in different levels. So here we have economy, premium economy, business, and first. Can you think of ways in which these different types of bookings may differ from each other in ways that makes each of them unique? And do you think this is a good candidate for inheritance? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you have any other questions, comments, or feedback, I'd love to hear from you, and I do read and respond to them all. Also, if you would like YouTube to show you more of my stuff, all you need to do is subscribe and click the little notification icon. In the next one, I'll finally be taking a look at visibility, so as well as using the public keyword, we'll also start to use protected and private.